So to begin, and as for why these materials are only now available, let me show you what it took to recover this lost tech. In the first place, take the basics plus congresses, and the magnitude of this one is greater by double. In point of fact, just the lectures alone total 1,019. And of course, every one of them has now been meticulously restored, which is an epic saga all unto itself. Because considering the age of these lectures, not to mention the questionable expertise of those who originally recorded the lectures, that project was a lot easier said than done. By way of example, while Hollywood has spent a great deal of resources to develop film restoration technology, such is not the case with sound. For instance, take the entire album collection of the biggest rock band in history, all recently restored and released. That was 13 albums, and it took a team of technicians 4 years to complete the restoration. By comparison, our original recordings are considerably older, and the quantity is over 75 times greater. Then too, of course, we're talking the restoration of LRH. So while I could go on all night about how we accomplished it, suffice it to say we pushed the limits of technology, even designing and building our own equipment. But now that it's done, all that really matters is the result, and the best way to appreciate it is to hear it for yourself. The first example concerns improper speed. It's what happens when the recordist doesn't have the tape correctly wound on the recorder. Needless to say, the resultant playback is a tad hard to follow, as in this.
Now you've got the gen on what special cases? We are
targeting and calling special cases. You'll find a great many cases are special cases, unfortunately.
To begin.
But here it is, restored.
Now you've got the gen on what special cases? We are targeting and calling special cases. You'll find a great many cases are special cases, unfortunately. To begin.
A few more. Then there is the matter of radio interference creating a high-pitched whine that sounds like this.
You get somebody, he says he's in need of a vacation. Things must have slacked off lately. There were very few people rushing in and presenting him with big stacks of problems.
Now, while that might be an acceptable sound effect for a sci-fi movie, we'd much prefer students hear it like this.
You get somebody, he says he's in need of a vacation. Things must have slacked off lately. There were very few people rushing in and presenting him with big stacks of problems.
Then again, there's static. This is the one that sounds like you're hearing a radio broadcast from another city.
I was just about 7 months ago. I remember sitting back and saying, well, that's that. Sat back at my desk and tossed a bunch of papers in the air and said, to hell with it. No more am I going to be confused on this very interesting point.
And again, here's the after.
I was just about 7 months ago. I remember sitting back and saying, well, that's that. Sat back at my desk and tossed a bunch of papers in the air and said, to hell with it. No more am I going to be confused on this very interesting point.
And here's every other audio problem I've thus far played in combination in something that can only be described as, what the hell was that?
Lack of incident. Lack of experience. Lack of things with which to exercise. When you have too few things happening to you.
And again, the restoration.
Lack of incident. Lack of experience, lack of things with which to exercise when you have too few things happening to you.
And finally, there is tonality, and that's because you should hear LRH as he sounded, not as he sounded over the telephone.
Take a hold of the cans there and so forth. Well, that's fine. It's all right with you. We start this session? Okay, start.
And as it should have sounded, and now does.
Take a hold of the cans there and so forth. Well, that's fine. It's all right with you. We start this session? Okay, start.
So there you have it, the sound restoration of LRH's lectures.